Or is it because my music is too loud I can't even hear it anymore? Hello? Hello? I think that sounds about right, maybe. Direct monitor off. Oh geez, now it's a lot louder. Now it's a lot quieter. Oh yeah. It's a bit weird. I feel like I sound a lot quieter. I don't know why. And I say that because I'm listening to myself talk into the mic. I don't know. Anyways, welcome to the stream. Let's get going. Just doing some little administrative work in the background. Okay, cool. Got my stream monitor up on my other computer. How nice. So let's get to it. We're going to be working on today is probably a better implementation of this color typewriter. Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. So we have our main display here. So how this app works right now is, I mean, it's pretty basic. It works, you know. You can toggle the cursor on and off, which I guess is cool if you want to have more precise input over how this works. But it's not quite, I guess, at the level of control. Well, this is actually the more precise implementation, but what I would like to do is, I guess, make this more, what's the word I'm looking for? More immersive, which doesn't make a whole lot of sense, but you know. So basically, look, I have like a typewriter looking thing here, and then you can kind of scroll, the paper kind of scrolls with you, which should be kind of cool. So let's implement that really quick. I think that would be nice. And fairly interesting, because I've never done that before. I've had the idea several times, but never actually made it work. So, to do this, I think, well, one thing is that the viewport container doesn't really do anything. And the cursor also doesn't really do anything. So I think the cursor can be, I can probably self-contain the cursor within the paper container itself, as opposed to having the cursor be controlled by like the main display. And then the viewport container here, I need to think about how I'm going to do that. Because having both of these be separate seems like kind of a problem. This might be like a structural problem. But you can see if we make this invisible, then we could just get the standard background, which I like having. I like having the separation between these two. Right? Because it does allow you to like dynamically change out the paper type even after you're done kind of printing everything, right? I think that seems neat, right? And we can bring it back by just making this visible again, or we can change how it looks by just doing this, and then we can go back to here. Look at that, how nice. Or you can change it to whatever color you want, so you can make it red. Make it a dark red. How nice. And it has no effects on this container here, since this container has its own viewport which it uses to draw. So I'm thinking, right? So this is main display, and then this main display also has a cursor, and that's all kind of self-contained within this node. So what would happen if I just did this, right? We changed this to be called like paper display, right? Paper display. Right? And then here, this is our main display. I think we need to change that name to be more indicative of what it actually is. So this is main display. This will be paper display instead of main display now. And then I think that's good. Cursor, that's fine. Okay. And now for the, I guess, the main view. So you can either have your paper display as your main view, or you can have a typewriter view. Right, so let's make a, I guess it would be a Node 2D, right? With a camera? Yeah. I guess that would be easier to manipulate. Yeah, okay, so let's make it a Node 2D. And this will be like a typewriter display. One of these, typewriter. Okay, good. I was nervous I didn't type it correctly. Typewriter display. I haven't really been able to type accurately nowadays. I'm not sure what's going on with that. But that's not like a sign of a degenerative illness. That would be highly unfortunate. You never know. You never know. Sometimes, like, some weeks I'm feeling like really good, really on top of, on the ball, as they say. Other weeks, like, kind of like right now, I'm kind of feeling iffy, and there are other weeks where I'm just feeling like garbage. Last week was one of those weeks. Was feeling fantastic last Sunday, then during the week was just dying on the vine. I think we want to have, would this be a, isn't there like a texture rect? Control for drawing textures. And then we can make this like a viewport? Perhaps. Or I wonder, can you do like ultra nested like viewport containers? I've never tried. Right, because this is just a bunch of viewport containers stacked on top of each other. So this is like the paper, sure. And then we can pass in several things to it. So we can do like a, I don't know, like change paper color, right? And then we have the background. So it should be pretty easy just to grab later. So on ready, var background. This is some sort of color rect. Let's grab a reference to that. Very easy. And then we can have, I don't know, we can wrap all of this inside of a function. Change paper color, spelled in the American English way. And then it just takes a color as an input. How nice. Background dot color equals color. So it's really easy. Just a wrapper function just to make it obvious what it's doing. Because that's the paper color. The paper color is the background, right? So for typewriter display, we want to display. Oh, that's tough. Actually, now I'm thinking about it. That's tough. So you'll have like the typewriter part probably at maybe the midpoint, maybe like right here. I don't know. What does a typewriter look like? I I don't really keep a typewriter around. I don't really keep a typewriter handy, so it's a bit difficult for me to envision one. Let's see, Google Images. Hello, Na. How are you doing? It was a good attempt. Definitely a good attempt. I'll give it a 3 out of 5, roughly average. Okay. How are you doing on this fine evening and or whatever time of day it is for you? I suppose that would be morning. Music is super loud. I knew it was super loud. I don't know why. Okay. It felt louder, but I'm not sure why. How about that? How about that? I had a feeling, but something seemed different with my setup, so I was like, I don't know. Maybe it's just me, and my my like hearing just got magically like a lot better. All right, sick. Yeah. I turned it down on my side, but I wasn't sure how loud it was on stream, so I decided not to touch it. But I appreciate the inputs. So typewriters always hit in the middle, right? Okay. Yeah, so this is what we're working on today, Knock, is we currently have this part working. The part that was already uploaded to itch.io. So this part works like a dream. Beautiful, right? But now I want to make like the actual typewriter part. So since this is more or less just a bunch of, I guess viewports, what I think I can do is just nest a bunch have this be like just a million ultra nested viewports. I believe this will work. And then from inside of this tiny thing, we'll be able to see everything, more or less. Right now, like a bunch of paintbrushes smashing into the screen. Yeah, more or less. That's why I was looking at these, just to make sure I had the image of a typewriter correct in my head. So this is kind of what I've had in mind. So you have more or less I don't know how big the sheet of paper is gonna be, but probably just like the hammers. I won't make these visible because that's gonna be a huge pain to make visible. But probably like this part, maybe the top of this part, and then you'll just have this part here at the top visible, and that'll take the place of the cursor that's usually on screen. So if we go back to here, there is the cursor, which is just a circle for now. So if you want to, do this in real typewriter mode, we'll replace this cursor with this thing, and then instead of the cursor moving across the screen, it'll be the piece of paper that kind of slowly moves across screen. Right? I mean, the effect will be the same, right? It's just the illusion of the cursor moving is replaced by the illusion of the entire sheet of paper moving. So, immersive mode, and then you'll have like the mouse clicks and stuff. Oh, hello, Yellow V. Why? Or I guess it'd just be yellow. Yellow 2 W's. Why not, I guess. I thought it'd be interesting. That's why. That's pretty much my standard response to doing pretty much anything, right? Is why not do something? I don't know. I'm doing it because it sounded neat. Do you require more? Alright, so we make this a sprite and also add a camera to D to it. Shouldn't the canvas be moving so the place where you type is stationary? Yeah. So that's what I'm saying, yeah. So this is the functional prototype. This is like the dedicated art mode. So this is what's actually happening. And then here in the typewriter display, I'll create the illusion of the paper moving across screen, right? So you can kind of see here that it'll still be the same implementation, but I'll create the illusion of it moving across the screen, right? Oh, hello, voice JK. How are you doing tonight, today, morning? But yeah, I mean that is the idea, yellow. That's what I'm trying to do. Okay, so this seems a bit weird. Do I need to flip this upside down? Possibly. So okay, so what's happening here is now I have two viewports being displayed onto one viewport, and I'm taking that viewport and displaying it onto a sprite. What about you? I'm doing all right. Could be a lot worse. Briefly dropped some frames, so I guess my stream's not doing too all right. Oh, hey, guess what? I guess Philippe's not here, but they always asked about this. Since I was interviewing for a new job, and you know, arted the dealed it, etc. Got a higher offer. Mostly just kind of played hardball. He's like, I don't know. I think you could give me a bit more. And they're like, we don't negotiate. And I was like, are you sure? And they're like, yeah. I was like, all right. Give me a little bit. How long do I have? Art of the deal, yeah. Art of the deal. I suppose art of the deal that would imply that I actually messed it up. Or did something that was pretty obvious, which was, I suppose that is true. I think if you're receiving any offer from a corporation, you should always say like, hey, give me a little bit of time to think about it. But thank you. I am accepting the offer. So yeah, I guess it is still art of the deal, right? I did what you should have done. Although I was a bit more aggressive in my negotiating this time. Usually I'm just like, okay, can you go a bit higher? No? Okay, that's fine. This one I was more like, I don't know if I'll take it now. I'm sorry. This doesn't seem fair. Okay, wait, so when you're typing, you start at the... Do you start at the bottom of the piece of paper when you type on a typewriter? I don't remember. Also, this seems a bit wrong. Oh, no, this is not wrong. No, the top. Yeah, okay. Yes, okay, yeah. It's not the paper that goes... Well, no. No, yeah, you start at the top, yeah. What am I talking about? You do start at the top. Okay, so this is where we're at right now. So we have the big sprite, takes up the entirety of the screen. So let's make this a bit smaller. Well, actually, we're not even using the camera. That's why you can't see anything. And so if we make this bigger, right, then this is what this will look like. No. What? What if I... Wait a minute. What if I... Oh, okay. You start at the top right, but relative to what you see would be on the bottom. Wait, what if you're in the letter on the top? I don't know, man. Since that's where the letters appear, think about the paper moving around. You start at the top... No, you start in the top left, right? But relative to what you see would be on the bottom. Yes. Yes. Yeah. That's how I'm looking at. That's how I'm looking at the typewriter. So paper goes in. Paper starts at the very top of the paper starts here, and then it slowly moves up, right, as you continue to type. Yeah. I was just momentarily confused by the flipped render target, because this looks wrong, but this looks right. And anyways, I think I can take this out. We can get rid of this canvas layer. Maybe this will just work. So F6 it. Okay, now we can't see anything now, which is fine. Because the sprite is not rendering it, I guess. Yeah, that's tough. YouTube if you're not sure. Well, yeah. Like I stated previously, I don't own a typewriter. Have I used them before? I think I have. I feel like I have. Each key press, you shift the paper to the left. Yes, 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 yes. I know that. I've seen a typewriter used before, but I've never actually thought about how the paper moves on a typewriter. I mean, this looks about right. Now I know that, was it all the hammers hammer into the middle? I don't actually need to make it accurate. What I'm thinking I'm gonna do for the hammers is probably just have random hammers, or maybe not random. I don't know. Maybe I'll make it random. Just gonna hammer into the little slot at the bottom here. But what I'm struggling with here is the fact that this is not rendering properly. Or at least this shouldn't be rendering like this, right? This shouldn't be rendering to the entire frame, right? Because I need this to render inside of the viewport so that it actually takes up some amount of space, but I don't actually want it to display anything. Does that make sense? Right, I want whatever this is rendering to render to the sprite, but I don't want this to be visible. I simultaneously want this to be visible, but also not visible. There are actually often dead keys, at least in different languages, where you place a symbol without the paper shift so you can type diacritics. Interesting. Have you used the typewriter before? Yellow? Or are you, were you a typewriter engineer at one point in your life? Well, I was interested in keyboards. Oh. Yeah, I don't know. All I know about typewriters is that one, they go click-clack. And two, IBM made a pretty fancy one at the very end of the typewriter's lifespan. So instead of having like your standard typewriter, a hammer system, I think IBM's typewriter, let me see, IBM typewriter. Yeah, IBM's typewriter had like a little ball in the middle of it, which I thought was pretty cool. Let's see, yeah, these little balls right there. You can kind of force a zoom in the worst way possible. Yeah. Anyways, other than that, all I know is that typewriters are cool. I'm Polish and we have an interesting situation with our default keyboard layout on PC. Ah, okay. Sounds tough. Sounds tough. I'm not Polish. I don't know. I don't really know any Polish. Let's see. There's your standard kurwa. Probably pronouncing that wrong. That's all I know in Polish. Pierogi. That's the name of a food in Polish. The Polish layout is not used by anyone since its legacy layout that was used in typewriters. Oh, interesting. Yeah, I don't know. All I know is that there's ISO layout, ASCII layout, and then there's like Nordic layouts, and that's about it. And everyone else just tries to work around any of those layouts. Now we use Polish programmer, which is really comfy. Nice. What happens if I do just a regular old control? Full rect. Oh. Put a control here. Full rect. What's Polish programmer? I'm not familiar. I wonder if this will work. Oh, it doesn't work. See, the problem... Wait, yeah, this camera is current, yes. I guess we can just constrain it like this. But the problem is I don't want to be able to see this. I don't want to be able to see this part. but I do want it displayed. I don't know. What if we just move this to like a really, really low layer? Or maybe if I put the sprite on its own canvas layer? No, I don't want to put the sprite on its own canvas layer though. Okay, we can try. So we have this canvas layer display after this one, maybe? Sure. And so the draw order would be canvas layer and then canvas layer 2 for now. Pretty much standard US QWERTY, and for diacritics we use Alt-GR. What's Alt-GR? For A with the little hook, and same for other Polish specific letters. Alt-GR is alt, right alt? Okay. Well, that's unfortunate because I don't have a right alt. I only have a left alt. Okay, so this is still not working. So we're not taking the camera into account. But I don't want. How do I render this without having its? How do I render this without having a display? So this has a transform. And it still needs to be visible as well. What happens what if I just put this control onto here, onto the sprite? Is this how this works? It's kind of a weird problem. I've never really had this before. Right, all is nice. It's not another layer of symbols. Oh baby, let me tell you, on my keyboard, I just, I mean, I do use standard American QWERTY, but I use a Preonic. Let's see, Preonic keyboard layout. So one of these. Let's see, open image in new tab. Look at that. And this is pretty much the key layout that I use as well, except I have all of the punctuation and everything else, all the other function keys hidden with these function modifiers. And so I've gotten so used to it, it's really hard for me to go back to my standard work keyboard. Let's get rid of this. Let's get rid of most of these, right? We just need this to be displayed. I guess it doesn't matter where it needs to be displayed, huh? Wait a minute. Is it because... No. There's something I'm missing here. On Linux, I have more symbols in default keyboard layout. Can do some basic Greek for math too. Oh, basic Greek. That's crazy. Where am I supposed to get this viewport texture from? This is a canvas layer. Wait a minute, no. This one. Did it work? I don't think this works. I don't think that's right. I don't think that's right. I think it's displaying the entire thing. Right. Yeah, okay, that's still not right. It's slightly more correct, but still not right. You know, omega is often used as a symbol in math. Omega? Is omega often used as a symbol in math? You mean sigma, right? Sigma and its various forms. So you have uppercase sigma, which is used for sums, and then lowercase sigma is used in statistics for, is it your n? Is your n your number of samples your sigma? What's omega used for in math? What if I just have these all display? This isn't right. So I guess we're just gonna have to look it up. So Godot, I wanted to try to figure this out, but I'm kind of out of ideas. What's quick load? Oh, that's an interesting feature. Is this one of the features in the newest beta? A quick load. Interesting. So this needs to be a viewport texture. Is there another way to do this? Yeah, okay. Godot, viewport, texture. Sure. Okay. Use a viewport as a texture. Sure. Let me see the documentation. This is in 3D. It's not really what I want, but we can still figure it out. Color rec, canvas item material, blah, blah, blah. Your sphere. Oh, does it just need to be a viewport? So if I just have it like this, then set the thing to something like this, right? So I don't even need the viewport container, because probably what was happening in the viewport container is that it was stretching out to fill the entire viewport. No, okay, well, I tried. Is it because the sprite is super small? Is it because the sprite is super small? Yeah. What if we do this? We kind of stretch it out. Okay, well, it's slightly more correct, I think. Slightly more correct. Okay. Okay. Still not displaying anything though. But we can censor it for now. Wait a minute. So the scale is... This is an absolute scale, which means I need to set this dynamically whenever you start the program so that we can get... Because this scale is 1:1 now. That's a bit weird. Okay, sure. Let's add a script. Boom, boom. This is the... I guess this is the paper sprite. Cool. Grab a path to that. Onready a var paper sprite. Some sort of sprite. Yeah, I don't know. Something about this tutorial, it's just this part that kind of stuck out to me. I was like, wait a minute. You know, you only need to have the viewports on screen. It doesn't actually need to take up any space, and then you can apply it to your mesh instance, I guess. Interesting. And then now they're doing all sorts of weird shader trickery here, which is pretty cool still, to be fair, but absolutely not what I'm doing. I mean, there's literally a Wiki article called Greek letters used in mathematics, science, and engineering, and like every letter has a use. Yeah, I'm just asking. I'm not familiar with what omega is used for in math. Right. I think there's a lot of statistics distributions, and by a lot, I mean there's like 3 that I can think of off the top of my head. You know, you have your alpha distribution, your beta distribution, your gamma distribution, and I believe the gamma distribution is what everyone thinks of when they think of a normal distribution, or is that a beta distribution? And then you have all the other Greek letters used there. I've done math in a while, I haven't done it in Polish. That's fair enough. Set theory. Omega is often used to denote the last, the end, or the ultimate limit of a set. You know, set theory was one of the things I learned in statistics that was like, wow, this is just SQL. And like SQL, I'm also like kind of bad at it. You know, like prove how many prove how you can like select this many things from this many sets given a set with this like lower and upper bound. I was like, ah, geez. I don't know anything about this. This is window size, right? Window size. is equal to OS window get window size. Get real window size. Get window size. Right? Big O, part of big O notation. Forget what it means. Yeah, well, we don't need big O notation here. Big O notation's for nerds. Me and the boys always use. I aim for at least O2N. Anything less is heresy. Describe algorithm complexity. What exactly omega means last. Yeah. Yeah, I don't know why I keep looking at this. This isn't helpful. Paper sprites dot scale is equal to half window size, I guess. So if we run this, we should get. This seems a bit wrong. Okay, but we're still not able to draw to it. Is this right, by the way? Is that half window size, or is that not? What if we do divided by 2? Now it's just huge. Wait, I pressed F6 or F5 by accident. Nope. Is it not setting the scale dynamically? Isn't this like the scale that I have it set to? Yeah. Huh? Am I stupid? So we had the position in the middle. Yeah, this is just what I set it to. Or did I accidentally set it to perfectly? Yo, I did set it almost perfectly to half window size. That's great. All right, get out of this one. Leave. F6. Okay, cool. So it is doing something. I just accidentally set the scale to almost exactly half window size manually. How cool. Actually, this is wrong. Also, F6. Is this doing anything? Divided by 1.2. F6. Yeah, it appears to be changing. Now we just need to get input into it. So this viewport, handle input locally, sure. Let's see, audio listener, no physics, GUI, keep input on. Size, I don't know. I guess we need to grab the viewport as well. So maybe if I set, oh, you know what? That's probably it. It's because the viewport doesn't have any size to it. That's why nothing's showing up. Okay. Good job, me. Fantastic sleuthing work. Alright, so set this to just be your window size. But see, this won't be displayed since the paper sprite, which is being set to half. This isn't half. What is this? Okay, well, I think the viewport's a bit too big now. What if I don't want... How do I hide things, right? So this is 1:1. And if I set this to 16 by 9, does this show up like this now? Yeah, now it just shows up and now it's taking up everything. That's not what I want. And if I can comment out this part, F6. Yeah, this is completely not what I want. Yeah, that's... How do I... Alright, bring me back to the Godot tutorial. I can still use this. So this is the shader. Now we have basically a viewport that we want to render to, and we have a unique image that we can apply to the sphere. This is the image. This is a shader that's applied directly to a color rect. Sure, applying the texture, mesh instance, geometry instance, material override, new spatial material, blah, blah, blah. All right, new viewport texture. All right, but what if I don't want the viewport texture visible? big omega is asymptotic lower bounds. I think I've used once in uni. That sounds absolutely insane. How about big O goes burr? Making the... Alright, Godot viewport texture 2D. Viewport texture, sure. 2D and 3D. Well, no, I want 2D and 2D. That's all I want. It means an algorithm needs at least those many steps. So it's just a lower bound, right? Okay, so it's just like a max amount of steps. So would alpha be your your upper bound? Create a viewport texture in code. I don't want this to display. Ha ha ha. O is upper bound? That's why it's called big O. Well, okay. Shows what I know. I don't know. All I know is that big O is a O1, not too bad. O end, pretty bad. O log n, pretty good. And anything else, I don't know. You've come to the wrong person if you... Oh, is that why it's so loud? When did this get set to 100? Well, okay. Now I have my answer as to why my audio setup is slightly messed up. Is that this got pushed to 100 for some reason. O1 not too... O1 is the holy grail? Yeah, okay, well. It's not too bad. So it's still not displaying anything. Our camera should be big enough as well, right? This is a current camera, no offset. That's tough. I don't want to show the viewport. Godot hide viewport, but still Godot viewport texture hide viewport. O1 means the algorithm needs at most one step. Oh baby. Yeah. O1 is just constant time. That's why hash maps are nice, is because it just has everything in there. Something like that. Attach it. Sprite, then I have the scene rendered 2 times, one on the sprite. Yes, okay, I'm having this exact problem. If I hide the viewport container after I use get texture, the texture is empty. My only workaround is set the position of the viewport container somewhere off screen. Okay. It means it's not affected by n, at least how I understood it. You're right, been too long since I've thought about this. Hello, I am a business major, self-taught. I know enough about Big O to pass coding challenges, and that's about it. All right, you know what we're doing. We're gonna do canvas layer. This is a viewport container. You're not gonna like this, but this is what peak performance looks like. I'm just gonna move this off screen. All right, so yeah, there we go. It's beautiful. It's beautiful. I love it. Not a workaround, by the way. Oh, it's still not working. Okay. This looks right. So if we go to here, yeah, you can see that it's displaying like this. What if I just don't do any of this stuff? F6. Okay, there we go. Cool. It can be 100 steps, but it'll be 100 steps for N10 and N1000. Oh. Yeah, okay, so it's like O O log n is what you want, right? That's one of the ideal scenarios you can get into. Something like that. Or is it O-E-N? I forget. It's one of those. O log n is pretty poggers. Yeah, pog dude. Anyways, check it out. I made it work. Using their workaround. There must be a better way of doing this, by the way. There's no way that this is the intended solution, which is just having this display off screen. So, gonna have to think about that. Gonna have to think about that for sure. And then another thing is that I'm going to need to modify a lot of this stuff because this does not scale correctly. Binary search for the win. Is binary search O log n? If a tree falls in a forest and nobody sees it, did it really fall? I don't know. Does the Pope shit in the woods? Got him, dude. What am I talking about? Do you have culling enabled? What do you mean culling enabled? Also, check this out. It's beautiful. Ignore this. I'm refactoring this. I'm also refactoring this. What do you mean culling? Culling for which one? I think the oh, hello, Aloe Zingy. Thank you very much for the tier 1 subscription. Much appreciated. It's a joke. Mind me. No, I will mind. There's no jokes allowed in chat. Only serious discussions only. A month already, wow. Oh baby, much appreciated, Aloe Zingy. Fine, bam. All right, yeah, there we go. He's asking for it. Ask and you will receive a ban. As noted, no jokes. Ban for laughter. Yeah, I feel like Aloe Zingy is one of the, as they say in the sneakerhead world, he's an old head. Been here for a little bit. Maybe as long as Knock, actually. Alright. So we have the viewport size. Yeah, what if I just do this, right? So in my typewriter display, and by the way, Aloe Zingy, what I'm working on right now is this. Kind of a neat application. It's just a color typewriter that also works in web builds. So I guess, I don't really know what it's useful for, but I thought it was cool. And so what I'm trying to do is implement like an actual typewriter look to it, as opposed to, I guess the more Spartan, pure programming look. So that's proving to be a little difficult. It's proving to be a little difficult. You know what? What if we just grab the paper display? Every synthesist's dream. What color is the ding? What do you mean the ding? The dings and the dongs? Let's see. This is the paper display. Some sort of canvas layer. Should probably actually give this a class name, but not going to. Alright. The ding at the end of the line for the typewriter? Oh. See, everyone knows more about typewriters than me. What the heck? There is no ding. It just kind of sends you to the next part. So, I guess good luck. Synthesiaist. A person who suffers from synthesia would be... hard to say. Not a linguist. Wait, we can figure it out, right? So what do you call someone... So someone who's suffering from leprosy is a leper. Someone... Synthesier? Synthesier? I don't know. I'm the opposite. I have aphantasia. What's that? You can't see color? Paper. So we have the viewport, and we also just store it here, so we can just get the viewport get size, something like that. Or no, that's get viewport size. So this is just the size. Okay, cool. This is just a property. And then we can do one of these. I think canvas layer, we don't need to modify this. That's fine. And then the sprite scale is just the, call this paper size. Paper size. I'm not sure if we need to do anything else to it. I can't picture stuff in my mind. Ooh. Sounds rough. Invalid get index viewports. Hey. I think a lot of this looks a bit concerning. So this is correct. Paper display. Paper display has... Oh, I need to get the paper container. And then the paper container contains... Oh my god. Okay. So paper display contains a paper container. Paper container contains a paper. Oh no. Who wrote this? And then I have phoneme, grapheme, synthesia. It's hard to describe. Basically, I hear stuff I read and see stuff I hear as if it were written. Oh, interesting. I think I've tricked myself into thinking I've had synthesia before. One of the... In my slightly younger years, when I still may or may not have dabbled in those substances. But hard to say. The mind is a curious thing. Never got how people get disgusted by talking about nasty stuff while eating, and never bothered me until that apparently appears in their mind. Does it? I don't know. Does it? I thought it was like based off of how it felt and how it tasted. Graphing colors is the most common, I think, where people associate certain numbers of letters with colors. Letter A is green and number 2 is blue. I'm not sure. Oh no. Oh, actually, is this working? Okay. And the background is transparent. Seems a bit wrong. And then this should be smaller. No, why is it not smaller though? What is this? So it's somewhat working, but not really, right? Because this one, you still have... Wait a minute. So in this configuration... Alright, we're still able to change the, I guess, the type head. That's the joke made about color typewriter. What was the joke? I think I missed the joke. I'm sorry. I didn't pick up on it. Usually I'm better with the word games, but I'm not. I didn't pick it up. I'm worried. I think I missed the joke. Haha. It was funny. I liked it. Let's try to play it cool. Pretend like I understood. Synthesiast's dream. Not really a word. I just said the color type is synthesiast's dream. Oh, I get it. Yeah, because okay. Yes, because he associates words with colors. Okay. Haha. Also, what's up with this? This is slightly incorrect still. Oh, because I'm on the wrong container, that's why. Okay. Ignore me. I was running the wrong scripts. So this is the raw paper container. We don't want to see that. We want to see this. So this is F6, still incorrect, and also we're still displaying the wrong stuff. So this stuff is completely off screen, so I don't care about this. Right. So that should be fine. I think if I add like, I don't know, like another sprite, I should be able to just kind of see it in this order here. I'm not sure what a sprite is. So just as a test, we're gonna load in the Godot icon.png. Hopefully we should see it. Yeah, it's right there. So that's correct. Everything that's appearing around it is still incorrect because... yeah. Because the sprite should be just stretched out this much. So if I don't modify this at all, press F6 on the... Oh, well now it's right. What the heck? Am I dumb? And now it's actually working as well? Oh, no. No, we were at this position before. Okay. Oh, it's because I need to adjust the paper size based off of the viewport size. Yeah, so this is the actual viewports that's being drawn on. So this paper display, paper container inside here, and then the actual paper. So the paper container contains just the viewport that gets drawn on, and it doesn't get redrawn, which is how I do the kind of color. That's how the colors kind of appear, right? So we very briefly, for one frame, display a slightly transparent image that's has its color modified, and it gets you know, drawn to the viewport. The viewport doesn't clear itself, and that's how we draw stuff. How neat. So inside of the actual paper itself, which is this is just a control node, which contains a sprite and a circle. We have the counter, and then we have like a max. What is the max? So counter. When do I reset the counter? What the heck? Who wrote this? It was me. Okay, so okay, counter is greater than the width or the height. So the sprites cannot be longer than the width or the height. Okay, sure. And so this one has a scale of... This shouldn't have any scale at all now that I'm thinking about it. Typewriter display. How does this have a scale? Huh? Yeah, wait. What? So so if I adjust the scale, right? It gets slightly bigger, but the actual viewport inside of it doesn't adjust. That's correct. No, that's the correct, this is the correct behavior. This is just the default behavior. Yeah. But the counter inside of it is not scaling correctly. So how I actually position each, I guess each keystroke does not scale correctly. Now, how do we want to solve that? So this is correct. And then ideally what would happen is that I would just move the sprites around. So I need to grab the counter position, and then instead of the piece of paper staying stationary, the piece of paper would instead start somewhere around the middle here. And then just kind of update itself as expected. So I need to solve this problem first, which is a bit weird. I wonder what's going on here. So this is the correct layout, right? This is, yeah, stretch mode, full stretch, margins, we don't care about. What now? All right, so check this out. All right, one of these, it's color typewriter. So whenever you type a key on the keyboard, it draws an image to screen. So you can do something like that. So what I'm doing is trying to make this more like a typewriter. And so the first order of business is to draw this image onto a separate sprite. And so since there's no way for me to hide this afterwards, I'm just completely drawing it off screen so you can't see it. And so what I'm trying to do now is try to fix this bug here, which is, yeah, for some reason the sprite is a little too big. Not sure why. So the sprites, not this one, this one. Flags, resource, no. Offset, sure, you can be offset, I don't care. That's interesting though. Yeah, I mean, it all works. It's also available, free and open source. So available on GitHub. Here's a link to the itch.io. So it works as a web build, which is I thought that was pretty cool. You do need to click on it first before it actually works, but that's not really my fault. That's more of a limitation on how web games work. Cody boy. Well, it's because I get bored pretty easily, unfortunately. I got bored pretty easily. Oh, you know what? This isn't how one thing, this isn't how typewriters work. You don't usually type on a horizontal piece of paper. I just now thought of that. Wait a minute. That's not how those work. Usually when you're on a typewriter, the piece of paper will be vertical, and then you'll draw from left to right down it. And two, like even if we do this, right? Yeah. I think I need to adjust one of these things. So what do I have access to inside of the sprite? You gonna add scrolling? Yeah, I need to figure out, so once I figure out why this isn't working, why this this scaling is broken, right? Once I figure out why this is broken, then I can add scrolling. But I want to figure this out first before we move on. Even though I think adding scrolling would be pretty fun. Like I have a pretty good idea on how I want to add scrolling. I think I just need to access this piece of code here, the counter. Well, the counter plus the height and the width. Actually, you know what? You know what? What if I just, I need to expose an API here that I can hook into. For like the current position. And that'll be the amount that I shift. Yeah, that'll be the amount I also shift the stuff over as well. Or according to this counter value, right? According to this counter value, that will be the value that I shift this piece of paper over by. Does that make sense? Where's my camera, by the way? Hey. Paper sprite. Oh, the paper sprite's actually a bit too big, huh? So if I do this, it'll take a little bit for it to start showing up, I think. Yeah. Yeah. That's so weird. So even with a scaling of 1, this is incorrect. Why is this wrong? Why is this wrong? This should not be wrong. Or is it that on this display, is it, this is 1024 by 600. What is this? Typewriter display. How big is this? This is, oh, that's why, 1024 by 600. Okay, that's cool. That's cool. You don't have to listen to me. Hey? Is the canvas layer bigger than I think it is? What? So, what is the window size? Because I'm not able to change the value of that. Yes, so this is 1024 by 600, right? However, in this thing here, the viewport container, oh, can I change this? Oh, how interesting. Yeah, just stretch it like that. Yeah. One of these. So this is 1024 by 600. This needs to be reset to something. I don't know how this is working. So save this. This is one of the aggravating parts about Godot that kind of messes with me. So this is wrong, but it's, for some reason it's not updating. Oh, okay. Never mind. I'm a liar. So this should be full rect, and then we'll just move it over. All right, so now that's more. Zoom the camera out. Okay, so now the scaling is correct, right? Because the reason why it was wrong is because I had manually set the viewport size. And I guess the viewport size just takes precedent, which is neat. I didn't know that. Okay, so now we have the paper. I guess we're just gonna have landscape. Might be nice to make that a toggleable option to make it either landscape or portrait. Okay. But inside of this script, the paper display, we should have access to the counter value. And then based off that, we'll just shift it over. We'll shift the, where is it? We'll shift this piece of paper over by X amount. Okay. So let's do it. Let's do it. Yeah, okay. So I think the easiest way to make this work would be paper sprite dot position is equal to paper size divided by 2, right? Because it's at 0. Wait, no. Yes? Paper size. Yeah, we want the half extent. Right? Is this correct? Hold on. So this is where this is right now. What I want to do is have the corner be in the middle here, so that's minus. Okay, so this is minus paper size. So negative paper size divided by 2. So we look at this. Wait. No, because we want to translate it down this way. Okay, so I was right the first time. Okay, cool. And then every time we type, we just need to move it over a little bit. So let's just do the easiest way, which is just have a... This is the worst way to do it, but I know it'll work. So we'll do paper, sprite. Hold on. Hold on. He's thinking about it. If we have the paper emit a signal every time you type, or every time you type like a real letter, Yeah. Yeah. So every time you type a real letter, and we get to this position here, so yeah, this is fine. So every time you know, they hammer the, what is the thing called? Whenever this thing actually strikes the page and moves the paper over a little, moves the cursor over, I guess, will emit a signal called, I don't know, cursor incremented? Something like that. And then we'll emit the current cursor X and cursor Y. So there's some sort of position. I think this one is better than whatever I was thinking about doing. So emit signal. So whenever we get to this point in this just a horrible, horrible function, we'll emit this signal. We'll subscribe to it. And then we have the, I guess, the position value. How nice. Okay, so, one of these, paper connect cursor incremented. This should work, 100%. And by 100%, I mean it's probably more like a 50% chance. It'll, you know what they say though, 50% of the time, it works 100% of the time. One of these, take a position which is a vector 2. Oh, okay, so we need to cache the paper size like this. So paper size, some sort of vector 2. So get rid of this. So we'll hang on to the paper size, right? And then it'll be one of these, right? It's half, so it's always gonna be half paper size, maybe. So this is half paper size, also a vector 2. Pretty easy. So store this value, half paper size is equal to paper size divided by 2, just so that we don't need to constantly recalculate it. And then here, we'll do paper sprites dot position plus equals, oh no, that's not right. Hold on. I can't just plus equals it every single time, right? Because the cursor has a Y value that may or may not. May or may not actually increment. Actually, we can just do this, huh? Right? Plus position. Yeah. Something like that. Right? Yeah. Maybe. This doesn't do anything. Okay, cool. Oh, we're going in the wrong direction. Okay. I was close. I was close. It just needs to be a negative position, right? So something like that. Ooh. Look at that. Look at that. That's neat. I think that's neat. Look at that. Yeah. Okay. And then you can even have the cursor be hidden. Yeah. I don't know. Was I saying anything coherent during that? I feel like I was just talking gibberish and then I just made something work. Now you need a line feed animation. What does a line feed look like? Now that's something I'm not familiar with. Typewriter, line feed. What does a line feed look like? The difference between a line feed and a carriage return. What? Oh, this is like programming. Carriage return, the typewriter tune. Please do not play any music. All right, let's investigate. They're typing. Let's typing away. Ooh, Ooh. Yeah, yeah. It did come from typewriter. Yes, yes, yes. I know this. VCS. The typewriter tune. Oh, you know what? It's which one of those was a line feed? Because I think they're actually playing a song. Guess I actually meant carriage return. Yeah, that's a carriage return, right? What she's doing there. One of those. So you just push it all the way to the side, as opposed to what I'm doing, which is just jumping you pretty much immediately to the other side. Something like that. I need an expert. Who here is extremely old? Who here is old enough to actually like use the typewriter for real? That is not me. I'm a poser. I just think typewriters look cool. I admit I'm kind of a hipster. That's cool though, right? I think that's fairly cool. I think that's fairly cool. Yeah, that's actually pretty neat. And then this also opens it up to having just other UI elements on the page, on the screen, so that you can do like, you know, here's a menu. Would you like to save the image? You're a fake typewriter hipster. If you were really one, you would have a typewriter keyboard and a real typewriter. I think it'd be cool to have a real typewriter, but I'm not sure what I would even use it for. Because I don't really write things all that often. Like, I write code, but I don't like. That's about it. Have you seen that typewriter keyboard? I feel like there's been a lot of typewriter keyboards over the years, so you're gonna need to be a little bit more specific. Oh man, that's cool. And it's genuinely very cool. Yeah. Is there like an actual implementation of a typewriter keyboard anywhere? Yeah, if there's a real like typewriter style keyboard, I might be interested in that. Although I'm not sure how they would like emulate the feel of it unless they were using like real typewriter hammers. It sounds like it'd be really annoying to type on as well. But look, that works. That's neat. It's a bit small, but what can you do, right? I suppose if I change the size of it the most direct way. What's a common screen size nowadays? Because I think if I were to drag this to one of my other monitors, oh, no, that still displays fine. What's a common display size? Yeah, common display size. Common display sizes. So there's 16 by 9. Sure. I don't know. Just give me 1080p. What's the 1080p one? 1080p. What's 1080p? FHD. That's pretty good. 1920 by 1080. Oh, absolutely not. 4x3. You know what? 4x3 might be nice. 4x3, so we can do 1400 by 1050. Just go really weird. Please, no more YouTube videos. I don't want to get content ID matched, just in case. 1440 by 1050, I guess. And then that should just scale by itself. Right, hopefully. So it's big and square. Oh no, it didn't. Oh no. So it's. Where did I hard code this? What the heck? Am I stupid? Am I an actual idiot? What is this? It's a typewriter keyboard DIY plus Linus Tech Tips. Oh, I like Linus Tech Tips. I haven't watched their videos in a long while. Look at this. Oh, it's one. Oh, I feel like I've seen this before. This is really old though, yeah. This is as a basically a classic. This is a retro video at this point. 2016. Very nice. We'll skip through it. Yeah, looks about right. Oh, is he like just making his own typewriter keyboard? Oh. Interesting. Alright, anyways, time to figure out why this is hard-coded. So this should be 1440 by 1050. This should be 1440 by 1050. This should be 1440 by 1050. Is it just because it didn't like update in time? So we run this. Oh, okay, interesting. So now this should be fine. Look at that, okay. It's a bit weird that I need to open up every single scene that has a viewport in it in order for the screen size to kind of propagate. Seems like it might be a bug, but I don't know. That's cool. Okay. So that feels a bit better. Actually, no, it's not. What am I talking about? 1440 by 1050. I think 1440 by 900 would probably be better, huh? Because it cannot be too high. I don't know. Maybe 1440 by 960. Alright, save this. Just have everything update. And then we'll go back to typewriter display. I'm probably not going to do a carriage return at this point. Because that sounds like it'd be difficult. Yeah, we do these things not because they are easy. Or not because they are hard, but because we thought they were going to be easy. No, what I think I need to do now is one, make the paper, I guess more like a more sensible background color, so white. So, no, not this one. Get out of here. So one of these. So when you first boot it up, this is what you get. How nice. Bum, 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 bum. I wonder if it makes sense for the kind of anchor point to be in the middle of the screen. Do you think it should be lower? I wonder if it should be lower, or if it's like if you do it in landscape, I push it up a bit. I don't know. And you know what else I need? I need to do... Let's just keep bouncing around and never actually finish anything. Where's the itch.io for Raylib? Raylib. It would be at the bottom in a real typewriter. Yeah, well, it's not a real typewriter, but... I mean, we could just move it down, right? So we would have to program in like a real offset. So paper position would be half paper size. And then this would be like paper origin. I'm just caching like every single variable possible. So this one would be paper origin would be equal to half paper size, then paper origin, y. Hold on. Times 1.5. Times equals 1.5. What paper size are you using? I don't know, just a completely made up paper size. I think if I wanted to make this, you know, I should do paper size, but that would require me to refactor this. Just use A4. Yeah, unfortunately, this is kind of hard coded to the viewport size. What are the dimensions of A4 paper? And then I can set it to that for now. I can set the viewport size to that for now. A4 dimensions in centimeters, I guess. This does not help me. A4 is 210 by 297 millimeters. Okay. So we go into project settings. Width is gonna have to be the higher one. So 297 times 5. Okay. I'm just gonna make the viewport the paper size. 210 times 5. Oh geez. This is more or less where I was before. 297 times 4. 210 times 4. Okay, that's fine to me. That's fine with me, I guess. Just update every single scene. No idea. I use A4 as a unit. Ugh. Well, I mean, now we're at A4. Yeah, the hard part about changing the paper size is, unfortunately, with the way that I wrote this, since I wrote this more or less completely on stream and, you know, tried to make it work as quickly as possible, this is hard coded to the viewport size. So I would need to restructure how this works. Yeah, I think this structure here, so you have paper container has a paper, and then the paper display has a paper container. That structure cannot change, which then means that whenever you change the paper size, you would need to change all of the container sizes as well, right? Because the paper container, you need to have this, because that's how I'm drawing, I guess the little splashes onto screen, is with this paper container. This just controls where it draws. So paper controls where the color draws. Paper container actually contains the drawing stuff because of some viewport trickery that I'm using. And then paper display is how I'm, I guess, drawing all the kind of related stuff, like the background and the cursor. So that's gonna take a little bit of reworking if I want to make it configurable. But I think this is fine for now. Just making the window size the the same ratio as A4 paper. I think that'll work. Yeah, but now we can get rid of the Godot sprite. Let's go to, we're on Raylib stuff. Hold on, am I crazy? Didn't Raylib used to have some effects generation toolkits? Or did he get rid of these? Yeah. Creator of, he used to have other stuff, right? Isn't there like RFX Gen? No? RX Gen, something like that. Raylib RX Gen. Is it something like that? Oh geez. A very cursed Google search. Hopefully no one saw that. There were only like 4 results, and all of them were sexual. RFX Gen, yes. Oh, it's by Raylib Technologies. Interesting. Let's download it. Sorry. All right. So let's download. This is very old, huh? So let's extract all. Ugh. Fruit fly. All right. Let's grab this. We're just going to throw it into my apps folder. Look at that. How do I make this bigger? Yeah, okay, there we go. Oh, it only gets this big, huh? So what does like a hammer strike on a piece of paper sound like? Is it like a... Probably not that. I don't know. What? Typewriter sound effects. Sure. Oh, royalty-free typewriter sound effects. Oh, baby. I don't even need to make my own. What's the license on them? Ooh, I like that. Files are over 10 minutes long. Oh, baby. Oh, and this is also this is good, so I can look at. So this is how it works. I feel like I already knew that. I'm probably not going to have that implemented, where you have to shift it all the way back. I'm not familiar with what they just did there with the typewriter, where they kind of scrolled it. Are they pressing tab? What is this? Line feed is line feed. Oh, okay, so it's a manual line feed. Okay, I didn't know that. I had no idea that's how that worked. Interesting. I guess, right? I guess. Interesting. I thought it automatically line fed for you. This is very helpful. Okay. What if I just made my own, though? Nope. 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 Oh, I like that. I like that. Okay. Let's send it. Export the WAV file. Dev. Color typewriter. Assets. I guess these are just typing sounds. So let's drop these into a sounds folder. So this is typing 1.wav. Does this only gives me wave? Okay. And so let's save the sound as well. So this is typing 1.rfx. Let's mutate it a little bit. Beautiful. Let's make it a bit lower as well. It's a bit too high. How do I... What does this sound like? That's too high. How do I make it lower? Okay, cool. Sick. Export the WAV. Typing 2, and then we can just kind of modulate the sound manually. Beautiful. All right, there's our 3 sounds. Typing 1, 2, and 3. And then after that, we can just modulate it up and down. And by modulate, I mean, I guess pitch it up and down, not modulate it. unless you can use that terminology with audio effects. I'm not familiar. I have to admit, one of the things that I'm lacking in terms of programming. One of them, networking, very bad at software networking. And 2, sound engineering, audio engineering. I don't know too much about that, unfortunately. Well, let's see. If we do any of these, we can do... Let's make some asset files, I guess, for this really quick. Maybe we don't. Maybe we just have, like, sounds. Hold on, no. Just a node. I suppose it would be on our typewriter display, right? Since this is the kind of fancy display, but if you wanted the more Spartan display, you would use just paper display. So the paper doesn't move, you just see the cursor move, but in typewriter display, you can see the paper move like a real typewriter. And then we'll just add random sounds we'll add random sounds to it as well. So it's a bit nicer to listen to. Let's finish this up really quick. I think I got distracted at some point. I don't know why I got distracted, but I know it happened. Alright, so really quickly. This starts pretty low, so that's good. Yeah, I think that's fine. Well, hold on. So let's just press keys as fast as possible. So I think the idea is that when you're at the complete bottom of the page, you should be able to see the entire piece of paper, and that's how far down it should go. Yeah, okay, that'll work. Now I'm looking at it. I need to implement pressing enter. Like right now, pressing enter, all that does is increment you over one line. Probably what pressing enter should do is what it does in a regular typing program, which is carriage return, aka line feed, if you're in the Unix world. Doesn't Windows is carriage return plus line feed, whereas Unix is just line feed, right? Take it easy, Knock. Thanks for hanging out. Support is always appreciated. Let's see. I think this should be fine for a default value. So this is pretty far down, but it's also just kind of scaled like this. So yeah, that's fine. That's fine. 0.75. So that gives me a little bit of wiggle room for adding just like a hammer effect. Yeah, okay. Cool. Add some margins to the paper. That's not too hard to do, right? So if I want to add a margin, all I would need to do is modify this part here, so lines 45 and 46, and then also lines, ignore this part, modify this part here. So this part here is what increments the, I guess the cursor, that's what I'm gonna call it. So I just need to modify those two parts. So there's like the half radius, which is the spacing between each color. And then once we go to a new line, so probably this part here, line 187, we'll just need to have like a margin space. Well, it's 187 and then 184. So this is the width. Wait, greater than the width. Yeah, it's 184, which generates a new line, or 187, which pushes you all the way back to the start of the piece of paper. Yeah. So it could do that. Not gonna do it now though. There's a fruit fly on my monitor. Where did these things even come from? Yeah, we'll add that later though. We'll add that later. Not right now. So sounds, let's do audio. Wait, I see it. There's gonna be a loud clapping sound momentarily. I see it. It's a big fruit fly though. It's a very big lad. Usually they're not like that. This fruit fly is like a, I don't even know. It's like about as big as a grain of rice, which is really big for a fruit fly. It's really big. I can see you. He's slow though. He's slow. I just having trouble finding him. You don't catch him with one hand, sorry. Reflexes aren't that good anymore. And also I'm like trying not to punch my monitor. That would be a tragedy. All right, I don't know where it is. Yeah, I think if I wasn't around my computer and I wasn't like hooked up to a, you know, didn't have headphones in, I might try it. To catch it with one hand or just like slap it. Yeah, I think that's unfortunately one of my weak points or weak spots, right? So, you know, when I'm trying to do things off of reaction, I tend to lose a lot of control. You know, when I go down to my base instinct, aka trying to kill a fruit fly. It's mostly just primal rage. Don't really trust myself too much at that. I can see it. It's on my other computer. If I slap it now, it's because of this. My mic is in the way as well. Wah! No, I missed. Because it was in the hinge. No slapping, just grab it. I don't think I can do that. I don't trust myself. I wouldn't trust me to do it. You know, if we're talking about like fine motor control, you know, like playing an instrument, I can probably do that pretty well. Better than your average bear. Trying to grab a fast-moving object that may or may not have a death wish. I don't know. Hard to say, hard to say. I think this is okay. Let me verify one thing. I don't have any auto loads, right? There's no utils? Okay. So here's the fun part. Here's another interesting part about this piece of software, is that since it's more or less completely self-contained, it could make this into like an engine plugin or an editor plugin. Or you can slap this anywhere you want, right? And so something I was thinking about was like, what if I just, you know, turn this into a plugin? You can click onto like another tab up here, and haha, you can start creating, I guess, a background in the editor, just like that. I don't know why it would be useful, but I think it'd be kind of cool. I think it'd be kind of cool. I don't know. Maybe that's just me though. Already var sounds. This is just a node. And then what we're going to do is whenever you press like any key whatsoever, right? Actually, yeah, we can do this on cursor increments. So whenever your cursor increments, we'll just play a sound, I guess. Does that make sense? I think that makes sense. Play typing sound. So we'll play like any of them. It doesn't matter which one. So playing, no. Autoplay, no. Stream pause, no. Okay, this is fine. So we need to get a random. What do we want? What does random range do? This is a float. Yeah, float from 1 to 3, so this is inclusive. Oh my god. This fruit fly actually wants to die. But I'm too distracted. Alright, so we'll round it like that. Let's see. Oh, you know what? This should be 0 to 2. So this random range function gives you an inclusive value. So this is 0 to 2. And then it'll be sounds. Is this what I called it? Sounds dot get child, whatever this is, right? And then just as audio stream player. Yeah, one of these. Play. Yeah, okay, cool. So I guess just send it like that, I guess. Think that'll work? Play typing sound. sounds horrible. That sounds bad. I don't know. It's so bad, but there's something about it that just kind of like that's not right, but like I kind of like it all the same. I don't know. I like it. I like it. Sick. What are these errors, by the way? Look at that. Set up local to scene. What is this? Where? Huh? Where? Why am I getting 4 errors? Node cannot get path. Where? Which one? Get path cannot get path as it is not in scene tree. Is it because I have too many viewports? It's a good. Like, to be fair, I do have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Isn't it? Right? So this paper container is its own viewport. Then this is paper display has paper container and its own viewport for the page, because we don't want to draw, I guess, the page inside of here. And then this one has yet another viewport which contains those viewports. So that's 2. No, that's just 3. I don't know how to count. That's why I'm a programmer. I have the computer count for me. Let's see. What if we just do... I don't know. What if we do... Just have a rectangle, I guess. So assets, there's the cursor, there's the splats.png, and then, yeah, splats.png is just like a list of splatter effects, right? If I'm not mistaken. So we go to color typewriter, assets, splats.png. Yeah, okay. I remember making this, and then I just alternate between which one is actually displayed on screen. Oh yeah, I did that. I guess let's create a hammer. One of the hammers to be displayed on screen. How big were the splats? Let's open up recent documents. Okay. I've made too many recent documents, I guess. Color typewriter, assets, splats.pixel. How big are these? So these tiles are 256. Okay. So we just need to make, yeah, 256. What color? Splats were just white, so let's also do these in white. He says as he draws it in black. Actually, I don't need to do it like that, right? Like it just needs to be like a big square, and then I need to smush it. And then, so I can just smush it via code, so it doesn't really matter. Yeah, okay, so I guess welcome to the team black square. And so it doesn't even need to be that big. We can just make it like a 632, maybe even like an 8x8 square, and then just blow it up. Right, so welcome to the team black square, or actually white square. Look at that, amazing, wow. And then this is gonna be one of the hammers. Yeah. So just erase some parts of it. Yeah, okay. Look at that. This is what a typewriter hammer looks like, right? Yeah. Maybe take off this part too. Yeah. Yeah, something like that. That's more or less it. And then I don't know, I'll grab this one to give it a little bit of texture. Right? Something like that. Send it. Save. This is hammer. Export as hammer. Sick. I can see the fruit fly. It's mocking me on my wall. Oops. Grab over. Alright, discard. Bring it back. Okay. So, sprites. Oh, we're gonna need like a bunch of sprites, right? Something like that. So we do one sprite here. Let's just do a test for how it'll work. So this is hammer. Load in a new asset. So this is gonna be just a very small hammer. We need to scale it up by a lot. 10 by 10. Possibly 50 by 50. And then we also need to import the hammer with no bitmaps. So this needs to be imported as pixel arts. Like so. So this is what it's going to look like. And I guess what's going to happen is that we'll just have like a bunch of hammers at the very bottom of the screen, right? We'll have a bunch of hammers at the very bottom of the screen that you can kind of see. And then they'll all just kind of like shoot towards the middle. Does that make sense? I hope it does, because I have no idea. Yeah. Let's call that 700. Yeah, sick. So let's give that a try. Let's give that a try. So there's our singular hammer. Pretty easy so far. And you know what? We can somewhat optimize, or we can clean up some of the variables here. There we go. So the paper size and the paper origin are two different variables. Paper size is just how big the piece of paper is. Paper origin is the starting point of all the stuff. So this is what it looks like right now. It's so loud. I think it'd be nice to have some sort of what's the word I'm looking for? Options button at the very top. So you don't need to listen to the just this thing going wild. But maybe you're into it, I don't know. What does that look like? It's very dark. Yeah, something like that, right? Oh, yeah, okay. So this might be more expected. So you have your hammer, and then it'll just kind of slap onto the page. I wonder if it'd be worth it to create an animation player for each hammer. So I basically this hammer, I kind of you know, save it as its own scene. No, probably not, huh? Maybe it should just be like a tween. So every hammer becomes its own entity, and each one has its own script. Yeah, okay. I like that. So let's save branch as screen or as scene. So this is just the hammer. Name it in the, I guess, the correct Godot style. So transform, get rid of this. This needs to be 700. Like so. All right. So let's attach a script to you. There's not too much to it except for this part here, which is, I guess, like activate. Activate at position, right? And then we'll just have a few hammers, I guess. So we'll add a tween to it. All right, I like it. I like it so far. So we'll onReady var. tween one of these, no ready function. And then how do you use tweens again? So it's tween interpolates property self. I think it's position, I guess. Initial value is, let's see, we'll just call it vector2 0. No, hold on. Let's cache the initial position. So this is var initial position, just so they know which part to go back to, because the idea is that we'll have a bunch of hammers, but then they'll all be at, I guess, differing points. I don't know, almost a circular pattern, right? So we don't want every single one of them to just, you know, flip back to the initial 0 0 position like here. So I need to cache the initial position like this. I think you can actually do it in just like an onReady var, but I prefer to do it like this explicitly in the ready function. So initial position is equal to just position. So I go here. So we tween from the initial position. Did I spell initial right? Yeah. Final value is the, I guess, the input's position, right? Duration. How fast do the hammers go? They're pretty fast, right? We'll call it 0.1. We'll call it 0.2 seconds, I guess. What's 1 second? 1, 2, 3. Okay, so that's we can lower this time if we want. And then we'll just use the, I guess, the default values. Tween start. Okay, cool. So that should work. That should work. And then we'll just have the one hammer for now, just for testing. OnReady var hammer. This is some sort of sprite hammer. And then to do testing only. So whenever you do a cursor incremented, I think what we want to do is do a hammer activate at, I think it's just the paper origin, right? Yeah. So we play the scene. Oh, no, absolutely not. That's wrong. Okay, interesting. Why is that happening? So it's there's a few things wrong here. What if we do tween connect tween, I'll just do all completed, it doesn't matter. Self on complete, something like that. So tween, wait, no, hold on complete, right? So the reason why I'm not doing the more specific on tween completed, and instead I'm using the more general tween all completed, is because tween completed actually passes in some parameters, but I don't care about the parameters. And I'm only ever firing off one tween at a time, right? So at least that is the idea. So on complete position is equal to initial position. So that should work, hopefully. Okay, so on complete it goes back. Maybe it should actually like tween back to its initial position. Yeah, I guess it should actually tween back to its initial position, but we'll make it work for now. The paper origin position is actually incorrect though. Now I wonder why. Do I need to pass in the global position to the hammer? So initial position is correct. This position is incorrect. Now, why is that? You know, I'll ponder that while I refill my drink. I'll be BRB, etc., etc. Oh, hello, I'm back. Kind of noticing my AFK scene is kind of broken because it's not using the chroma key. I'll fix that later. So what are all of these errors? Oh, there's only 4 errors and they're all kind of related to viewport texture. Those will probably go away once I restart the editor, but no promises. This position though is incorrect. I wonder if it needs to be like in the opposite. So, paper origin. Paper origin. Activate paper origin. So the currents. Something doesn't seem right about that. So it's going to here. Do I need to flip the X and Y? That doesn't make a lot of sense to me, but I guess. So position Y, position X, perhaps? No, not this part. This one. No. And also, it's a little jank, for sure. I think I do need to make it a bit longer. So let's do that really quick as well. So sprite scaling, the Y scaling needs to be like, yeah, there we go. There we go. Something like that. Probably move it down a little bit as well. Call it 900. We still haven't fixed the main problem though, is that it's kind of slapping at the wrong point. So it needs to slap at whatever the paper origin point is. So paper sprite.position is equal to the paper origin. So paper origin never gets updated. It's kind of weird, isn't it? What if we, I don't know, what if we modify the global position? Maybe that'll make a difference. Oh no, this is the wrong one. So give this a try. Nope. It's still roughly the same error. I don't know. Because we should just be moving it to and from that position. What if we do position Y, right? So this is initial position Y to the given position Y, right? Something like that. Okay, I mean that's looks better, I guess. It's a bit jank. That's just silly looking. Doesn't really add too much either. I don't know. That doesn't feel right. Maybe I need to mess with the kind of interpolation options, or maybe I just need to increase the speed of the hammer. So double it, like so. Okay, I mean that feels better now. Now it doesn't feel as slow. And it's kind of the, yeah. I mean, That's not bad. That's not bad. Yeah. I mean, it is just the one hammer that's doing everything, though. So. And also, I think this is still broken. I think this is still broken, by the way. Like, this fix will only work. Yeah, this fix will only work for hammers that are in this position, aka just this one hammer, which is not a great solution, right? Because once I start adding other hammers, so here's the idea, is that you would create another node. We'll call this node hammers, right? We'll put all of the hammers into the hammers node, and then just like what we did with the sounds, we'll select, maybe we'll select a random hammer, maybe we won't. I think it might be cooler just to have hammers for every single column on the keyboard that I support. So right now it's just QWERTY. So QWERTY, there's 4, 8, 10. There need to be 10 hammers, right? So let's keep this as debug for now. So if we create another hammer, right? This hammer 2 for now, and we'll move it over by, I don't know, some amounts. What was this Y value? That was 900. Make this 100, so just barely over. And then we'll also need to rotate it a little bit. Ooh, probably not that much. Might be better to like somehow dynamically generate them. Or what if we just do this? We rotate them all at runtime, right? So we have their given position, and then we just kind of, you know, send them. So we'll do an onReady var hammers, which is a node hammers, right? And so really quickly, we'll do for hammer in hammers. We'll do hammer dot rotation is equal to hammer dot, oh, and we need to get rid of this. So hammer dot global position. Hold on, I need code completion, please. Angle 2. Is it angle 2 points or angle 2? What's the difference? One of those. And then, like I said, similarly to how the typing sounds work, we'll do activate hammer, right? So we'll need to think about how this will work. I think it'll probably need to listen for, right, on cursor incremented, I think I should probably also send like which key, or at least which column was, which column the hammer should activate in, maybe. But I think for now, we'll just do a random amount. Or we'll do a random hammer for now. So this will be 0, 2, hammers dot get child counts. Yes. No. Yes. No. Yes. No. Child count -1. And then this will be hammers get child. Yeah, because get child, 0 indexed, and don't you forget it. So hammers get child, round range, hammers get child count. And also this one should be get child count as well, but this is mostly like a debug function. Activate, what did I call it? Activate? It's just activate, cool. To activate hammer, this requires a position, so we'll do position vector 2. Then we need to feed in position here. Position, there we go. You know what? Is it because this piece of paper, whenever it's yeah, the counter is wrong. The counter is wrong. Yes. Wait, no, it doesn't matter though. What am I thinking of? Cursor incremented. Oh. Yeah. No, okay. So we don't want to feed in the paper origin. Well, we don't want to feed in the position. The position is just the kind of offset for the piece of paper. Should be feeding in the paper origin. All right. Need to learn how to read my own code, because I was totally correct the first time. So this should work. I mean, I don't know if this will work though. This part I'm a little sketched about. So for hammer and hammers, we set the rotation of it to just angle to points. So this is in radians though. Angle to, returns the angle to the given vector. Returns the angle between the line connecting the 2 points and the x-axis in radians. I wonder if this is fine. I have my doubts. Yep. Unable to iterate on, oh, right. I know that. I knew that. Hammers get children. All right, now we send it. That doesn't look right. Is this negative for some reason? No. Plus pi? Maybe? No? Kinds of? That doesn't look right. Right, shouldn't this one? Okay. There's something weird going on here with the difference between the position and the global position. So no. Are these just on like a different? What? So this is the global position, but for some reason these aren't respecting the global position for some reason? I don't think making this negative will do anything. Yeah, this just reverses it entirely. Is it pi over 2? So just rotate it slightly by, nope. That's even more wrong. All right, I don't really know what's wrong here, because now we're dealing with numbers, and numbers are my greatest weakness. Let's see. For hammer and hammers get children. So this shouldn't matter, right? Like if it's global rotation or not. I don't think global rotation is, yeah, global rotation is a thing, but it doesn't make a difference here. It should be the same. Yeah, okay. Huh. Let's see, what do we have access to? Isn't there like a facing or like a self rotate towards? There's one of these. Or it's look at. Yeah, look at. What if we do hammer dot look at paper origin, and then that needs to be rotated by a quarter pi, I think. So if we do this, no, it's about the same actually. Hammer rotation plus equals pi divided by 2, I think, right? Because there are 2 pi radians in a circle. 2 pi radians in a circle, thus 2 pi. Pi is half. Pi over 2 is a quarter. I don't know. Just keep trying numbers until it works. That's tough. That's tough. I think this is the wrong formula to be. Well, you know what? That doesn't look too bad, but what is the initial rotation? Now I'm thinking about, or what is the initial value for paper origin? Paper origin. Oh, paper origin is like some sort of weird messed up 594. Why? What? I don't know. What's my root viewport? So 1188 by 840. Is that correct? 1188 divided by 2. 94. Paper origin. Paper origin is calculated by paper size divided by 2, and then we do a little bit more math to scoot the y value down a little bit more. So let's bust out my trusty calculator. So 1188 divided by 2. 594, all right. Oh, wait a minute. Hold on. Something is wrong with my math, isn't it? So a big reason why this wasn't working with just regular position dot y. Yeah, these are trying to adjust their position to the paper origin. So that's the problem here. So the paper origin is 594. However, each hammer has their origin at 0, which is why they were all trying to move to the right whenever I'm passing in the paper origin here. Interesting. Wait, so doesn't that mean that the... Oh, I don't need to take the X offset. Oh my god, okay. Or I just need to ignore the X offset. Okay, cool. So this is a vector 2. So our initial position dot X, and then we use the Y components from the input. So this doesn't really solve too many of my problems. It does solve... I think it solves this. Wait, hold up. No. No, it's not the initial position dot X, it's just 0. Yeah, okay, so now they should be rotated. Well, they're not exactly rotated correctly, but they should be tweening correctly. Something seems weird there, but okay. Now I just need to fix the rotation of each one of these. Oh, and it's the same thing, right? So this needs to be vector 2, 0, paper origin. Ah, it's because I keep feeding in the X offset. But see, this paper origin, we don't want the X offset. We only want the Y offset. So we only need to offset the paper sprites, right? Not the hammers. The hammers will always hit the same position no matter what. But the X offset controls where the piece of paper is on screen whenever you're typing. Oh, but now these are just rotated completely inaccurately. Look at, I don't know. Is it plus pi? Pi over 2? So we get rid of this, do this. Angle 2 point. So this is vector 2, 0, paper origin, dot y, one of these. Nope, it's a pi over 2. It's one of these rotations. Minus pi over 2. Why is this one so far off? Why is so we look at that again. This hammer is correct, right? Well, why is this hammer slightly offset? I guess we need to take into account the hammer's X position, I guess. So this is hammer dot global position X, and then the paper origin Y. No. Huh? No. No, 0, 0 should be fine. But see, this is rotated too much. That's fine. Or this is okay, I guess. But why is it... Why are the other hammers slightly offset? Goal position as vector 2, angle 2 points. So if I add more hammers, let's just add more hammers and see if I'll eventually figure out the solution. So this is the third hammer. I mean, it's neat. it's neat. Also have 4 errors, but that's fine. No. So this is correct, right? Because whenever we're looking at these, you know, it's taking the unit circle. So it's spinning it on a unit circle. So unit circle starts facing right. So that's correct, which means we need to adjust whatever angle it gives us by 90 degrees, aka pi over 2, because pi is just 180, like that. So pi over 2 will give us this rotation, so we minus, right, pi over 2 to, I guess, modify the radians back down to this position, normalize for this thing just kind of facing up by default. Now the problem is that for some reason these are just rotated too far. Now why would that be? Why would that be? I don't think it's the global rotation. It could be the global rotation, but I don't think it is. Yeah. These are still incorrect and they're pointing at the wrong value. Angle to point, 0, 0, paper origin Y. Is the paper origin Y slightly different? Or wait a minute. Hold on. Comment this out. What if we just go to just vector 2 0? What will that give me? Vector 2 0? I'm slightly confused as to why that worked, but I'll accept it. What am I doing wrong? Right? I don't really know. Programming. All right, I do need to have a better way of generating these nodes. I think it might make sense to generate these programmatically at some point, instead of just making them all manually. That's kind of cool though. It would be even cooler if they actually like corresponded to your keys as opposed to just being completely random. But you take the good with the bad. And then on a real typewriter, you also have you also have, I guess, the little thing. So usually what this would be, right? I guess it's fine to keep this on screen. And then I guess we'll just have to guess where it is. Yeah, that's not bad. It's not good. It's not bad. It needs to have all the other niceties of a typewriter though. And then also not have the hammers just kind of hit nothing when you press space. I don't know. There's something very satisfying about doing this, though. Look at that. Look at that. That's cool. Alright, so there's a few improvements I can make just right off the bat. One, I need to figure out why this is wrong. So like, let's add it to do. This is wrong, but looks okay for some reason. Yeah, I'm not sure what's going on with that. But we'll figure it out. And then here in the paper thing, let's see, when you press enter, we do need to handle that appropriately. Let's see. So how am I doing this? Current color, blah, blah, blah. I guess we can just have a flag being like, was enter pressed? Yeah. Yeah, I guess it is just a flag. So if it's not an event pressed, whatever. I do allow for echoes. So if we do something like, oh, not this. Well, that'll work, right? Let's change project settings. So let's actually default to displaying the typewriter display, just so it's easier for me to go back to this. Oh, that's really good. I like that. That's really good. Look at that. It's like a macro. Macro for your typewriter. If you just hold down the key. It's very fast. I'm a big fan of that. Big fan of that. Alright, so this is fine. Boom. Oh, you know what? We can do. Is it carriage return? Is that what I'm looking for? So there's toggle cursor, switch hammer type. Wait, toggle cursor? Where's toggle? Toggle cursor is handled in paper display. Okay. But in paper, we can have carriage return, right? And so that's just a physical key, enter. And then we can wrap this function here inside of a private function. So this is increment counter, right? And then that will just work, question mark. So increment counter, and then we'll have function, like I guess carriage return. Wait a minute. That doesn't make any sense. Why don't we just manually carriage return, I guess? Yeah, okay. There's no reason to wrap it in a function. Yeah, there's no reason to wrap it in a function. Yeah. I've convinced myself. LF events is action pressed carriage return. Then we'll do, of course, here. Set input as handled for sure, because when you carriage return, we also do not want to, you know, move on to unhandled key input and process a space. That would be bad. Let's see. You know what? It might be worth it to wrap these in functions, just so it's easier for me to understand. All right, well, shows what I know. So this is increment. How do you spell increment? Increment. Increment. Oh, okay, yeah. Increments or increments? Increments counter. And so it's just all of this stuff. Easy. And then this one, carriage return. Hit it with a void. Ha 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 ha. It'll be counter dot x is equal to 0, 0. And then counter dot y plus equals half radius. And then this stuff. Didn't actually copy it. There we go. One of these. So this is increment counter. That's pretty easy to do. Pretty easy to understand at the very least. Increment counter. And then this one up here is carriage return. Carriage return. Okay. So that's nice and wrapped. So up. Oh, that was weird. And then the paper just kind of jumps to the next thing. So carriage return and then line break. So would you want to... I'm thinking. I'm thinking. So a line break is just moving to the next line, whereas carriage return just moves your cursor to the start of the line. Is that correct? So you could potentially just carriage return endlessly, and then that would make a difference, right? It would just keep moving you to the start of the line, whereas line breaking would move you up and down. Is that correct? And then we'll do this as well. One of these. Oh, Okay. I think that's kind of cool. It's a little jank right now, but we're working on it. We're working on it. I think having a way to flip between these two displays. So right now there's either a typewriter display, or there is a typewriter display, and then it would be nice to be able to kind of jump into, I guess, this viewport over here and make that the main display instead. I'll need to think about that. Need to think about that. I also need to think of a better way to do this, right? Because right now, right, the paper sprite is just displaying a viewport texture of whatever this is. But then this also needs to be visible on screen somewhere. Otherwise, we're not able to get the viewport texture, or it'll just display as nothing, which is a slight problem to say the least. And then, so I've just moved it off screen. There must be another way. Like if I were to like save it into a back buffer, and then this paper sprites will just, yeah, I wonder, yeah, if I saved this into a back buffer, and then on the paper sprite just have like a white texture, and then attach a shader to it that just reads from the back buffer. I wonder if that will work. I wonder if that will work. Yeah, I think that makes sense. But we're not gonna do it today. Let's just add options at this point. So we'll have another canvas layer. So this is like options. It's like the options menu, I guess. And so this is a separate canvas layer. We'll add probably just like an HBox container with some buttons in it. So button 1. Or actually, aren't there like, yeah, there's a menu button or options button. A pop-up menu. What does menu button do? Do I need to define anything for it? So this button doesn't do anything, right? This is just a test button. So if we run it, yeah. Okay, cool. So this button doesn't do anything. This button has no options associated with it, so that's fine. And then, what's the difference between an option button and a menu button? I don't remember. Oh, you know what? This is what I can use for the face tracker as well. Although these seem very, very similar. Option button and menu button. Yeah. So this is basically like a drop down. This is a drop down, but you can like set the value. Oh. Whereas this one just brings you to like a menu that you can, continue to select other stuff. Okay. Okay, cool. So I think all we need is a menu button. And I remember this, yeah. Then you have an item list, and then you'll need to configure several things in order to actually use it. Okay. Let's see. We want to anchor this in the top left. Let's give it a margin of 1010. And then no other margin, right? It really only needs to be a menu button. And then we can have, I guess, we'll do the normal thing and have two menu buttons. So this is like file. This will be like edit. And I think that's good enough, right? So in your file button, you'll have several things. One, probably like save, new and save, I guess. And then we'll have one more button that's called like I guess, a view. Yeah, that's how UIs work, right? Yeah, something like that. So this is file. This is edit. Oh, geez. Edit. This is view. Something like that. Then we run it. Then you'll have these things pop up. They won't do anything until you click on them, but we don't care. And then we'll need to add more hammers, and I'll need to map them appropriately. What a pain. You know, I should probably do that now. Since I'm already, like, starting to manipulate these. So there's 10 hammers. They're all about 100 apart, so this will be negative 1,000. What if I instance in all the hammers all at once? As opposed to doing this. Or if I just do this really, really quickly, it'll make up for the inefficiency of it. Alright, we're doing it. Let's just do this manually. This is negative 400. You know what? I've already messed up. Hold on. Oh, I'm so dumb. I don't know, just send me, dude. 10. I've already messed up. This should be 500. 400. I don't know how to count, clearly. This is 300? No, 200. Yeah, I messed up. And also, there's only 10 hammers, so you don't really have a middle. So 5 and 6, this one should be like, I guess, negative 50. This one should be 50, so there's a spacing of 100 between them all. This one should be 150. This is 250, etc. Yeah, okay. It might be neat to build a tool that does this, like a bulk transform for you. And that would be the classic programmer predicaments. You know, of spending hours and hours just to build a tool that to do something that you can do manually really quickly. So let's try to avoid falling into that trap. Okay. See, these are all our hammers. We can run the thing. Looks kind of weird. I suppose the lower ones should be, or I guess the ones closer to the middle should be more recessed. So let's do, these are like 1,000, I guess. Maybe. All right. So this is where it makes sense to do this manually. So these are 1,000, these are like 975. 4 and 7. 975. This is like 950, I guess. 925. Yeah, there we go. That looks all right. And then all that's left is to rotate them towards the middle. Yeah, there we go. Cool. Yeah, something like that. And then I just need to map them towards your actually, or I need to map them to your actual keys. And then also not have them kind of fire when you move on to the next line. Okay, cool. That's not bad though, that's not bad. I think I'm going to save state really quick. So this is color typewriter. Git add all. This is like start work on typewriter display. Add sounds, add hammers. There we go. And then after this, what else do we need to do? So things that still need to be done are the kind of paper stuff, so the paper size options, that still needs to be modifiable. And yeah. Let's see. Don't need this. Tab open. I don't know. Do you think maybe like having a background might be nice? Maybe having like a picture of a typewriter would. What does the typewriter look like again? I can create like the very front of it really quick. So this is what a typewriter looks like, more or less. Maybe this one. Which one has this one has the visible hammers, which is kind of what I was going for. It's close enough anyways. No, maybe this one. That's not bad. Yeah, and see, this one doesn't even have the thing. You just need to like assume it's in the middle, right? I guess I do need to have this bar here. So if I were to create an image based off of this, it would be roughly this part, right? Roughly that. That's tough. Also, is this in Cyrillic? Yeah, this is in Cyrillic. Isn't this character here is a Cyrillic character? This is Cyrillic. It's funky R, weird N. Yeah. Okay, cool. Actually, no, this isn't right at all, right? Because this has several characters that are repeated. Or what language is this? So like, this is a W. But then what is this? This W appears to have something else on it, like in the very corner. I don't know. I think after this, creating the kind of background might be nice. For now, we're just gonna make it a color rect. It's gonna be a very, very flat scene tree hierarchy, which I guess is good, considering that I already have like a very, very deeply nested scene tree hierarchy inside of this paper display here. Let's do this. So we'll just make this be a very large lad. And you know what? Let's have this display on the background as well. So full rect. Make it like a, yeah, one of these, 42, 42. Yeah, there you go. Oh no, okay. So this needs to display on a, that's wrong. Okay, so this does need to be on a different canvas layer then. So this is background canvas layer. So we need to make sure that this displays first. So what is this? Layer, lower values are drawn first. So let's make it -100 so it displays behind everything. Just in case. Oh, and now you can't see it. Now you can't see the hammers at all. That's fine for now, though. Yeah, something like that. Yeah, that's okay. Yeah, okay. Cool. Cool. Now I just need to implement these options, and this is more or less done, I think, right? Yeah. And then also make these, hello? Hi from Mexico? Hola, hola. Oh man, I can't remember. My Spanish is degraded so much. I used to be able to speak a little bit back when I worked in Austin, Texas. Had a lot of Spanish-speaking co-workers there. But hello, hello. This is what I'm making though. It's an application. It's a color typewriter, more or less. So we'll post a link into chat. This is what I'm making, by the way. We can show it off right here. Fairly easy. So you just click on it. There's no sounds because this is an earlier build, but you can move it over and just, you know, try to draw a picture, I guess. The code is open source, so the code is all available on GitHub. Just like that's made with Godot 3.4, but should work for more or less anything. Yeah. What I am doing, so he's here, is it has sound. Has sound, has some graphics to it. Looks like a typewriter. And then you can also enter in order to go down on the page. Yeah. And then I do need to expose some options. So for example, this. So you can change the color of the background to black. Let me go here. And then this is how it would look. Did you forget to add the high-pitched ding sound at the end of the page? You're now the second person to ask for that. So I didn't forget, it's just not included. I guess what is that? Do all typewriters make that sound? I'm gonna be honest, I don't think I don't remember if I've typed on a typewriter before. But oh, you know what? There is a ding. Now that you mention it, there is a ding. Huh. Hold on. Do it again. Do it again. Do it. Do it. Do it. Ah! Do it. Come on. So you know more or less how old the the two people who asked for it? Yeah. Old enough to have used the typewriter before. I just know what a typewriter is. I'm not sure if I ever used one, as mentioned previously. I need to reference a video. No! Bring it back! Okay. One of these was a ding, right? Do it. Do it. Do it. Do it. Do it. I can feel it. Okay. Yeah. I'm a little too young for typewriters. Considering I grew up when Windows 2000 was a thing, was just becoming a thing. So that's about how old I am. All right, we can add a ding. Let's add a ding. Let's add a ding. So go into apps. One of these. You don't have to add, I was just saying. So, well, you know, now that two people have asked for it, I guess it must be something that people want. Nope. Maybe? Maybe? No? No? Maybe. I don't know. So this is ding 1. We'll also save the sound as ding 1. Let's mutate it a little bit. Yeah, okay. Let's export wave. This is... Did I not save it correctly? Ding 2.wav. You know what? I don't think I saved it correctly. Okay, well, say goodbye. Go into dev. Well, yeah, we're gonna add it, you know? I've committed. Oh, I really did not save it, huh? Wow. Okay, apps. Send me back. Make it bigger, load sound. Ding 1. Yeah, export WAV, wave. I feel like that's a bug, but can't really complain too much. Okay, so these are sounds. These are typing sounds, by the way. So I'm going to differentiate between typing sounds and dinging sounds. So now we need to change this. This is now typing sounds. Let's see, add a node. We'll call it, I don't know, ding sounds. Ding sounds. Sounds a bit suspect if you ask me. See, these are audio stream players 1 and 2. So unfortunately in Godot, audio stream players only play one sound at once, which is a bit weird. I did hear that for Godot 4 they are bringing back, you know, audio stream players that can play multiple things at once. So that's neat. Alright, so this is ding 1, ding 2. And then we'll just have to somehow differentiate between the two. So in the paper function here, we'll have cursor incremented, and then what happens? So if you, does the ding only happen when you hit the end of the line? Is that how that works? Or is it whenever you just carriage return? I'm actually not sure. If I remember correctly, yes, at the end of the page. So if you manually move the page down, like that, then you will not hear a ding. Is that correct? So yeah, okay. I think that's correct. So it doesn't sound when you manually carriage return. Ah, okay. So that's actually a bit tough. I didn't use it that much. I'm not that old. Well, you're sounding pretty old right now. That's all I'm saying. Is manual. Okay, so we have a carriage return, so you have either a manual carriage return or an automatic carriage return. So carriage return, and then I guess is manual, some sort of Boolean, and then we'll send this along. So here we go, carriage return. So this is an automatic carriage return, so this is false, right? And then this one is true, is manual. And then here in our typewriter display, we just need to hook ourselves up to that signal, like so. So this is carriage return, on carriage return. All right, so on cursor incremented. So we can listen to both signals at once. Sometimes we'll hit both at once as well. So I guess you could hammer and carriage return at the same time. I'm not sure. Is manual. Just naming the variable is the same thing for peace of mind. So on carriage return. I think there's a few things we would want to do. Actually, yeah, well. Hold on. I think something's wrong here. Carriage return. Oh, you know what? I do need to send the new position as well. So the new position plus is manual or not. So counter. Yeah, and then this is carriage return, so counter and is manual. There we go. Oh. Get rid of this, yeah. Alright, that's fine. So is manual, and then there's just a position again. Okay. There's a few things that need to be changed. I'm trying to catch them all here. So you'll always increment counter. Sometimes you'll carriage return. And then you'll... Hold on. I think I don't want to possibly emit both at once. Although it shouldn't make a difference. Right? Because we can just duplicate these. These will be the same value no matter what. And then if is manual, then let's do one of these. Func play ding sound. Void. So do I have... These are typing sounds. And let's do onReady var ding sounds. Ding sounds. So now we'll get an error here. So this is typing sounds. Get child whatever. And then similarly, we'll do ding sounds. This is 0 to 1. Then we'll just play from the start of the track. Yeah, so if it's manual, if not is manual, then we'll play a ding sound. Yeah, look at that. So let's give it a try. No. Okay, so it's not working. Am I crazy? So the 14 errors, that's good. If not is manual. Hold on. Carriage return, false, sure. That's correct. This one should be true. Yeah. Oh, it's at the wrong place. So take this part out. If counter is, yeah, this is where it should be. Okay, I put it in the wrong place. Okay. Second try is the charm. Hey. There's the dinging sound. It's a bit loud. I feel like the typing is a little bit too loud. Yeah, okay. That's neat. So you can manually carriage return, and also I need a way to separate out new lines, line feed and carriage return, because right now when you press enter, it gives you a carriage return and a line feed at the same time. I'm gonna be honest, this ability to echo, you just hold down the key and it'll just keep firing. It's pretty good. Nice. Okay. You know, it might also be kind of cool to have like a I guess like manual controls on screen, so that if you don't want to press like enter or whatever other button I come up with to line feed. I guess you could just drag and manually line feed it, I guess. That might be kind of cool. Anyways, that works. That's neat. Alright, cool. There was something else I was thinking I needed to do. Oh yeah, it's that typing sounds are a bit too loud. So let's make this just all -10, just a little bit quieter. Because right now they're... Alright, now that's way too quiet. -5, I guess. I need a better way to be able to batch edit a bunch of things. I wonder if there's like a Godot editor plugin that allows you to batch edit many nodes of the same type. If someone hasn't made that yet, they should, because that would be sick. Yeah. And so how the program works is the lower down, or from left to right, you get a kind of a spectrum of colors, which is kind of neat. So you have the entire color spectrum, and then whites at the very end. And then the farther down on the keyboard you go, the darker the colors get. And so right now it only supports QWERTY right now. Just like a true typewriter, it's pretty difficult to get a different layout. Actually, I don't know if that's true or not. I like to assume that it's true though. You know what? On space, it does need to, I guess, not fire one of the hammers. So I feel like it doesn't make a lot of sense. I think that's cool. I think that's cool. I'm sure someone more creative than me can figure out a good use for this. But the part that I'm most interested in is the fact that it doesn't use any auto loads whatsoever. Therefore, if you wanted to make this like an editor plugin, it could totally work. I don't know why you would want to, but I have made, or I started work on a MangaDex editor plugin. So it just connects to MangaDex and uses their API so that you can read manga. I thought that'd be kind of cool. Where you can read manga from within your Godot game or even the editor. So right now it allows you to just log in. So using that same principle, I think this could work. Yeah, that's cool. I think that the ding does add a lot to the experience. So, you know, good suggestion. You know, I try not to be swayed too much by chat suggestions, but if multiple people ask for it, you know, who am I to say no? Yeah, look at that. You have a nice fall kind of color scheme. Yeah, okay. How neat. So I think that's in an okay state right now. So let's push that straight to the whatever. Git add all, git commit, add ding sound. And yeah. Let's see, what's the license? This should be Apache 2. Yeah, this is Apache 2. So if you are interested in, you know, checking out the software for yourself, all of this stuff is available on my GitHub. So I'll drop a link into chat if you're interested. And also all the other pieces of software that I use. I made this thing in Godot as well. The little stream avatars-esque kind of thing. Made in Godot, works with Twitch chat, also works with channel point rewards, which I don't think stream avatars integrates with. Pretty cool. Also made this thing, which is, face tracking, etc. Well, I didn't make the face tracker, I just made the renderer, but either way. You can find all of these pieces of software on my GitHub. This is under the name OpenCFaceGD. This is under the name Friendly Potato Stream. This piece of software is under the name Color Typewriter. All of them are free and open source. And yeah, I think I'm going to call it for today. So, thanks for tuning in. I will be live on Tuesday from 7 to 10 p.m. Eastern time, working on something. We'll figure it out. Probably a game, hopefully. So yeah, peep the Discord in the description below. I post if you want to ask me about my projects or you need help setting something up or whatever. I'm there to, provide advice or whatever. Also have my GitHub in my description, all the other social links. GitHub, you can find most of the stuff I work on. Like this thing right here, Color Typewriter. Anyways, that's gonna be it. Goodbye. I'm tired. Take it easy.